The Hawaiian coral reefs are stunningly beautiful, and they are full of wondrous experiences. However, the coral reefs are a delicate place, and they teeter on the brink of collapse. In 2015 and 2018, a massive coral bleaching event occurred, wiping out 90% of the coral in Hawaii. The likely culprit was the ocean's warming. However, now, in 2026, the good news is the ocean water temperatures are normal, and the corals are thriving and populating the reef. And just in time for another threat to their existence, one that smothers them in a poisonous substance and eats all the coral polyps in the colony and leaves it a ghostly white, completely dead. That threat comes from the crown of thorns starfish. Welcome, my fellow aquanauts, to another episode of Think Ocean. I'm Captain John, your host. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the crown of thorns starfish. You know, it's 2026, and the coral here in Hawaii is actually doing quite well. Yet, there's bleached coral heads popping up all over the place, and that is from the destructive power of the crown of thorns starfish. And if you stay tuned to the very end, I'm going to show you why it's called a crown of thorns starfish. Now, let's get right into it and learn more about these crown of thorns here in Hawaii. The crown of thorns are echinoderms, and they're related to sea cucumbers and to starfish and to sea urchins. The main characteristics of an echinoderm is that they have a 5-part radial symmetry, just like a star. They also have a water vascular system for tube-like feet, for locomotion, and for gripping and capturing their prey and devouring them. Now, let's find out what kind of corals are on the menu for these ominous predators, the crown of thorns. But first, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to this channel if you like our videos. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. Both of those things will help out a lot. And share this video with others that are interested in learning about the marine environment. And don't forget, Captain John has a new book out entitled Full Ahead. It's an epic maritime novel that puts you, the reader, in the water every chapter, and I know you're going to love it. If you want, you can go to my website. It's wethinkocean.com. I left a link in the description of this video. You can click on it, you can go there, and you can purchase my book directly from our website. I'm getting kind of hungry now. What's for lunch? The crown of thorns likes stony corals, And in Hawaii, that's the Pocillopora corals. They aren't much interested in finger-type corals or in the lobe-encrusting corals due to the fact that these corals contain within them crabs, tube worms, sea urchins, and other debris that is not suitable to the crown of thorns diet. However, this does not mean that these corals are immune to the crown of thorns onslaught. It's just that they aren't on the main course. That is, if Pocillopora corals are abundant. Pocillopora corals are like skyscrapers. They grow off the bottom of the ocean. As a matter of fact, if you were to lay one down and spread it out on the bottom, these corals occupy 1/3 of all the coral space in Hawaii. So they're a very significant coral out on the reef. And unfortunately, these corals are also the most susceptible to ocean warming. Now, let's take a closer look at how the crown of thorns kills and consumes coral. We're also going to find out why there's an outbreak of crown of thorns out there on the reef. And if you stick around to the very end, as promised, I'm going to show you why it's called a crown of thorns. In stealth-like fashion, the crown of thorns approaches a piece of coral and completely smothers it. Then it extrudes its stomach out of its body and envelops the coral with dissolving enzymes. Then it sucks up the dissolved coral polyps within the coral colony and leaves it for dead. These are pieces of coral soon after a crown of thorns grazed upon them. Soon they will be pure white. It is the algae within the coral structure that gives the coral its color. And that algae too is sucked up by the crown of thorns, leaving it white as a ghost. These are pieces of coral in a colony that the crown of thorns couldn't completely cover. And half of the colony is dead, and the other half is still alive. This wall of bleached coral heads shows the destruction that a single crown of thorns can do. The crown of thorns explosion is a direct result of the loss of its number one predator, the Triton's trumpet. And the state of Hawaii has now put an indefinite moratorium on the taking of the Triton's trumpet. The crown of thorns is not named after the crown of thorns that we envision that was placed on the Lord Jesus Christ's head. It is a crown more like a king or a queen would wear, and when it's wrapped tight on a piece of coral, it resembles just that, a crown of thorns. My fellow aquanauts, you are the kings and queens of the ocean. Keep it clean and healthy, and stay safe in the water. I want to thank you for watching from the islands of Hawaii. Aloha.